So do you find yourself making a lot of excuses?
Excuses, excuses, excuses. They are your worst enemy. Find out why in this week's episode of
Get Real with the English
Sisters,
Sisters.
where we're going to be chatting about how excuses can really be a problem for you.
Well, yeah, they really can be a problem. They can be like a bit like sleeping with the enemy because you're sleeping with the excuses.
Well,
It's a bit creepy, really.
I think they become like part of you, part of your like DNA in the end.
Yep.
You just get used to doing them, making them.
You get used to making them. Very, very clever at making them.
And I think they do cause a lot of anxiety.
Yep. So, are we going to start?
Definitely.
So, let's start today's podcast then. And it's about how to stop making excuses, I believe.
Well, I think so, because you wouldn't want to start making them, would you?
No, we're definitely not here to talk about how to learn.
Well, sometimes excuses can be good, I think. There's always a good and a bad to everything.
If you've got too much pressure,
Well, yeah,
making an excuse is also
to
human.
get out of something.
Exactly. Something that you know is going to cause you, it's going to make you feel, a bit over stressed.
Are they excuses, or are they a little bit like what we said, a bit like a little white lie?
What, like saying, no, I don't fancy going out to dinner tonight because I've got to go here. And
so
it's
it's
not
kind
true.
of an excuse, but it's not like a real excuse.
I don't think, we're not really talking about those kind of excuses today.
No.
I think today we want to talk about those excuses that make you sabotage your own life, and they are to your detriment. They're really you're not allowing yourself to live to your fullest, because you keep on making these excuses. But I think if you kind of know what we're talking about, then you're understanding us fully, because you know that you're someone that probably does make excuses.
Well, I think we all do to a certain extent, but I think you can become more into the habit. The more excuses you make, the easier it is to make them, and the more used to you are to making them.
Yeah, I think you make the most of all. It's really out of fear, I think.
Yeah.
You become frightened to...
So you stop, you put the brakes on doing things that you would normally be okay with doing.
Yeah. Yeah, you become fearful and you make excuses. Do you remember that movie where it said the yes man? I'm thinking about things like that, when he kept on saying no to everything. And it was like, no, I don't have time. No, I don't have time. Yeah. And then when he started saying yes to everything, then his life boom, blossomed and opened up. So that's what made me think of it now. I think a lot of us, we do make excuses that may seem like they make us feel comfortable at the moment.
Because they're keeping you in your comfort zone, aren't they?
Yeah, but then in the long run, really, can you think of any excuses you've ever made?
Well, if I go back a long way, I could think when I wanted to study fashion, for instance, to fashion school, I made an excuse saying that I wasn't good at drawing.
Gosh, yeah.
That was my excuse for not going, kind of thing. For not
that was
even trying.
It was a limiting belief, though, really, that was installed at
an
school.
Excuse because I can't do that.
He could easily have learned. I mean,
of course, it was simple.
It was so simple.
I mean, now would just say I just learn in a jiffy.
Yeah,
but they didn't have tutorials in those days or anything.
No, but even just going to the school, they would have actually taught you there.
Really,
there was sketches.
There was another component to that decision because the fashion school was in London and I wanted to get away from London as well.
Okay.
So it was.
And you knew that was going to be good for you to get away,
I think the real reason was that I was fearful of not being good enough.
There you go. So
yeah, not being good enough because I didn't know how to draw. Whereas my, everything else was perfect. I was creative. I was.
You knew how to sew. You loved
everything.
Fabrics
I loved everything.
Fashion. Yeah, that is a shame. Yeah, you'd wonder, you'd go back to that 70-year-old girl and say, look, hey.
Well, I would say, hey, you can definitely do it. But I wouldn't want to change anything because my whole life has turned out as it is and I'm really happy with it.
Yeah,
so
no regrets.
but if I saw anyone now, if we were coaching anyone, I would just say, I would tell. If you want to do something, I would say to you, write down all the reasons why you think you can't do that, and then tick them off cross them out one by one, because there will be, you'll see that you will be able to do whatever you want to do.
Yeah, so the excuse is, if they're coming out of fear, then you can say, okay, so I say I can't draw. What is this? Is this the truth? Maybe it's true. I'm not very competent at drawing, but can I learn? Yes. So it wasn't really a truism as to say, the pure truth. It was just something that you lacked the competence.
Excuses are always like that, because I think in the end there's never any truth in any of them. That's why they're called excuses.
Yeah. I agree with you, yeah.
Because I think, like, whatever it is, if it's for a financial reason you can't do it, that you can always get a job on the side or ask for money, get a loan. There's always, if you really want to do something, there's always a way around to do it.
If there's a will, there's a way. That's what they say.
There's a way.
I think the will has to come out strong, you have to have a strong
will. But the more excuses that you start writing down for the reasons why you can't do something, the more you get, like, you kind of hypnotize yourself into the idea that you're not going to be doing it, and then you just accept that. Whereas if it's the other way around, if you write down all the excuses for why you're not going to be doing whatever it is, I mean, it could be going like that to university, or it could be I don't know, going on a healthy eating plan, or going exercising,
to the gym, whatever,
or anything, or improving your education or your career,
learning a new language.
Yeah, anything.
Can think of so many
if you just
people.
write, like my husband said, he wasn't good at languages. He came here and he learned Italian.
Exactly.
In a jiffy.
Yeah. Why? Because he had a will.
And he had a will and he needed to communicate. But there was loads of people where he was working, in an international environment. There was loads of people that didn't know how, they didn't care if they spoke Italian. So it wasn't just because he needed to, it's because he was okay with it. And he did like languages. And he didn't want to be that person that couldn't speak Italian when everyone else could.
Yeah, when you're living in the country.
When you're living in the country, it's a shame, isn't it?
Well, you lose out so much. Yeah. Yeah, there's a lot of things. Yeah, it's fear, and then it's limiting beliefs that are formed around the fear. The uncertainty of change once again, because we know that most of us hate to change.
But the exciting thing is that once you start ticking off these excuses, you'll suddenly start feeling more and more free, and you'll feel as if it gets easier and easier to accomplish whatever you want to do.
Yeah, definitely. So it's like
liberating,
step by step.
Yeah, like
so
cross them out.
Why is it that I can't do this? Why? What excuse am I making when I really, if it's something write a book, become a whatever.
Even if it could be something like to do with health, like I was thinking recently, someone that we know they didn't have a doctor assigned to them because they just moved to a different area, and they didn't have the doctor, so they had a health problem, so they couldn't go see the doctor because they didn't have their the doctor that was assigned to them, the documents and everything. So, and then they spiral into feeling worse and worse,
sicker and
sicker, ill, more and more ill, and they don't do anything about it until one day, hopefully not, but one day that they might end up in the emergency room. Hopefully that won't happen, but that's the kind of thing that can happen when you start stacking up excuses. That's why they're your worst enemy.
Yeah, they really are. Yeah. Well, in that case,
and they can even be life-threatening in the end.
Yeah. I can't get that. Oh no, I don't have that thing. What was it? The
documents.
The document. In order to get that, you need to get that, and it's sometimes you have to deal with bureaucracy and these kind of papers that a lot of us hate to do. But you got to do it. You step by step.
Yeah, because a lot of this bureaucracy and like what you were saying, all these like tasks of filling out forms and people
they're part of life.
They're part of life, but most of us, unless you're really organised, most people don't like doing those kind of things. They tend to put them off or make excuses why they can't do them at the time, and those are the kind of things that end up holding you back, because
they're like niggly, naggly things in your
those
brain.
little horrible things that you just
you think, oh no, I haven't done that. I've got to renew my whatever it is.
Your driving license, whatever it is.
Yeah.
And they
I
really
hate
end
that.
up holding
I'd
you
rather
back.
just do it really quickly.
Well,
and
that's
get it
because
over
you
with.
don't make excuses and you just do it.
No, I hate having anything like that. It stresses me out, to tell you the truth.
Well, it does cause a great
deal of
anxiety.
It causes me a lot of stress if I know that something is going to be like, it's going to expire soon, or, oh God, I hate it.
Then you have to take a deep breath and just think, I'm just going to go and do it now.
Yeah, and when you go to that place, if you have to go to this office or, I don't know, tax office, where, try and find something nice along the way, like what we always try and do. Like, there might be a nice little coffee shop on the way there, and so it's like in your mind you say, okay, I'll do that and that, but it's not just one thing that's like
one unpleasant
that you consider unpleasant, you know. And then when you're actually doing it, you might find it's easier than what you expected, or it could be even harder than what you expected.
But sometimes
more
they
hurdles,
are
more hurdles.
These things.
Yeah. Sometimes they are. It's like challenges, aren't they? You got to do them.
Little challenges. Even I remember when
just getting a passport.
When my daughter said that we should do a podcast, I said I can't do a podcast.
Exactly.
I don't know how to do it.
Yeah, no way.
Mum, come on, you can learn.
Yeah, excuses. We were saying no.
And I said, is it worth it?
Too complex. You need all that equipment.
You need all
techie stuff.
I haven't got a clue. We do videos, we do YouTube, social media. That's enough.
Yeah.
And she's saying, well, I think you'd really do well with a podcast. It's really nice. I love listening to podcasts. And we did like listening to podcasts too, didn't we?
We did, yeah.
We thought, so obviously knowing how our minds work and knowing that we were making excuses and knowing fine well what we're doing. Because the thing is that once you become conscious of what you're doing, it's pretty hard.
It's hard because
to get away with it.
Yeah, once you realise you're like in the excuse mode, your brain is looking and making excuses,
one after the other.
You kind of catch yourself out, don't you? And you got to have a little laugh and say, oh, okay.
Yeah, because if you don't know the technical side of something like we didn't, you can learn it or you can get help. There's always a solution. There's always a solution.
There is definitely always a solution. So you get help, you get support.
You don't have to do everything on your own. That's another, it's something else to consider. It doesn't have to be a one-man band or one-woman band or one-person band. You don't have to do everything by yourself.
No,
there is help out there. There's so many people that can help you. There's tutorials. There's so much free help. There's so many people that even if you just reach out to them, they'll help you.
Yeah, and you can really just look online. How do I get this done?
Yeah.
Right? How to renew a passport? How to get this? I mean, there's so many people out there that can.
Yeah, well, do you remember how panicky you got about renewing your passport?
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking about because it's an English passport and I'm living in Italy, and I thought, how do I do that? Yeah. But nowadays, it was
well, it wasn't that easy. I mean, my husband helped you, but in the end, you had to reach out for help, and you acknowledged that you were feeling anxious about it. And I think once you acknowledge that it's okay not to be okay about something. I don't have to be the superhero in every situation and know how to do everything.
No, you can say, no, this is making me feel, anxious. And you needed to, it's true. I do remember that. That's why I keep on saying it.
Sleep, but you couldn't sleep even. It was making you so anxious about filling out all the forms.
God, yeah.
Because you needed to translate all your certificates. Some of your certificates had to be translated.
Yeah. So it was bureaucracy, wasn't it?
Bureaucracy,
you had to book appointments, go to places, step by step, in order to get the whole steps done for the whole family, which in the end I had to do it.
You had to do it for the family. That was the problem.
Yeah.
Anyway, what we're saying is that you don't have to do everything by yourself, and there is help there. So you can ask a family member, you can ask a friend, you can ask online, you can even pay for help. Sometimes it's worth paying for help.
Yeah. Just saying, or just like what we were saying before, once you realise it's an excuse, you think, oh, right, so this is an excuse I'm making. Why am I making it?
Yeah, and then write it down and then cross each excuse off.
Yeah, definitely.
So if you have any plans for 2023 and you're already making excuses, start crossing them off and start taking action, I would recommend.
Yeah, taking action, taking kind of responsibility. And also maybe if you tell somebody else, like, I want to do this, and they might sort of come back to you and say, have you done that yet?
Yeah, they'll encourage you. They kind of hold you accountable, don't they?
Yeah, friends can hold you accountable, family. You know, you got to...
Well, come and follow us on social media at the English Sisters and at Get Real with the English Sisters, which is actually the page on Instagram for the podcast. And also come and visit us on our YouTube channel where this is filmed as well. So you'll be able to see us in person.
You can see us in person. We're not making excuses because we also film it.
Yeah, which was pretty awkward at first.
Because we could have made the excuse and said, no, we can't be bothered to film it because that means that we have to...
pajamas.
Yeah, we have to get dressed and sort of look okay to do it. But no, we did not make that excuse. So we are on YouTube
tried to at the
too.
beginning.
We did try to, but we realised it was an excuse.
So all excuses had to be ticked off for 2023.
Yeah, unless they're legitimate, you know.
Anxiety-free.
Yeah, anxiety-free, absolutely.
Lots of love and
smiles from the English Sisters.
Oh, and please do rate and review this podcast because it's gaining traction.
It is gaining traction, yeah. It's
exciting. Gaining a worldwide audience. So
when we get
thank you so
feedback,
much.
We love it, yeah.
Thank you so much, everyone. Lots of love. Bye-bye.